Okay, welcome to my very first YouTube video. This is a bit exciting, so I apologise if the sound is funny, if the picture is funny. It's my first one, so you just got to do it, right? So today I'm going to recreate this page that I did in my journal. Okay, so we're using negative space and shape and line and plopping of watercolour, and to create this page I'm going to need, first of all, I'll be using watercolours. I'm using the Jane Davenport Brights palette, which you see there. Then and I will be using the pinks and this dark blue. Okay, I will be using with the Jane Davenport watercolours, I'll be using a round watercolour brush. I think it's a six. Yep. And these thick bushy brushes are great for plopping. Mine is not a fancy one. It's kind of mid-range. It's a Montmartre brand, and I'm finding this is working really well. So it's not losing hair. All those things factor into brushes, you will find. Very cheap brushes, the hair falls out. It's very frustrating when you're working because it gets on your page and it's just not great. So sadly, but the more expensive the brush, the better quality image you will produce. I will be using some, once again, Jane Davenport. She's my favourite at the minute. Oh, just love the colours, just amazing. Some Jane Davenport acrylic paint. I'm not sure if this has a colour name. I'm sure it does, but it's not on here. But it's lovely. I love this colour. Ooh, it's just delicious. And to apply the acrylic paint, I have the Jane Davenport brush. It's a little, the hairs do come out, which I don't like, but it's still a really cool brush. And this brush, which is a NAM Perspex 12mm brush, is really good for acrylic paint, and this one is great. This is good quality. The hairs don't come out. I think it's synthetic. Yes, so to create my circles, I'm going to just use my double-sided tape and tube roll of washi tape. Very useful for creating circles. And and my go-to white pen is the Uniball Signo Broad. I am going to invest in some finer ones of these because they give quite a this is quite a thick pen, but it's also great, really great. Often I need to clean it because look, it's like a four-wheel drive all over. I'm going to have a paint palette, which I'm just using a plastic plate. That's all I use, and obviously you need water to rinse your brushes cleanly and properly, and to get your watercolors activated and that sort of thing. So I'm going to get started. This is a bit exciting. Actually, before I start, I need to get myself paper towel. Very important. It helps soak up any excess liquid. You can wipe your brush off. It's a really good thing to have. So I always keep that at the ready, so I can clean off any brushes, clean off anything. I'm just going to check that everything's filming okay. Looks like it. So let's get started. Right, I'm gonna wet my brush up, get lots of water onto it. Now the journal I'm using is from Bookbinders Online. It's a little shop, in Aspley in Brisbane, and the paper is a Tomoe River paper, which is a Japanese paper. It's the 52 GSM. I've ordered one from Asia somewhere that's the 68 or 62 bit thicker. But this paper is incredible. It takes watercolour. It even took my mixed media. Like, that's collage. Like, that's like 5 layers of stuff. It takes it really well. And it doesn't tear or rip or anything. It's really, really good. It feels thin and it crinkles, so a lot of people might not like it. You have to give it a try, and if it suits you, then go for it. I can highly recommend it. So I'm going to use this colour. This is the ink colour from the Jane Davenport line, and I'm going to plop this colour down on the page. Just loading up. Your wet brush wants to be as wet as possible, and I'm just going to get in there. I'm going to put more water on there. You really need lots of water. Now, be mindful, I'm not a trained watercolour person. I'm learning as I go. So this, for me, is all new, but we'll see how we go. Now I'm basically giving this bottom level of my page the dark blue, the inky colour. So it's reminiscent of the Galaxy paintings, which, I really love the Galaxy paintings. You can see if your brush doesn't have enough water on it, you're not going to get that sort of loose, mottley, I don't even know how to, mottly kind of, see how it plops down like that? Gives it a really loose kind of fluid, but you need to make sure you've also got enough pigment in your brush so that you can swirl it around and get lots of good colour. Now, the thing I did forget to tell you that I would be using is my heat gun. This is a Stampin' Up! Heat gun. People use it to emboss. Mixed media artists use it to dry layers of painting, because to wait for a layer to dry can take hours if you're using texture paste, glues, collage, and this speeds up paint. This speeds up the process, so you can just be fluid in creating your piece of work. You're not waiting hours to get on to the next stage. Some people don't like using these. They'll tell you that it just wrecks the look of the work. I actually like using it. I mean, you'd rarely find someone in watercolour, a watercolour artist using one of these, but this is what I'm using in my journal to dry up the process, and I also really like the effect it causes. So I'll show you as you see. It's a bit noisy. As I'm drying, I'm going to pick up some of these pooly bits, and it just adds a bit more texture to the page. You need to be careful. The middle of the pages of the journal suck up the water, the paint and the liquid. And then you can see that it's a bit of a different colour as it dries. It's not as dark. And you get in there, and it really adds a little bit more texture by blocking the paper as it dries. I really like it. Because I'm a mixed media girl, this really makes a difference. This really adds that texture to my work that I'm used to having in mixed media, but it becomes, really happens on the page with the Tomoe River. And I'd like to test it. Is it crinkling up? Because I want it completely dry. In between my steps. with heat guns, they tend to set the work as well when you're working in mixed media. So if we go back to the page here, you can see where I've kind of blotted in the blue. Now I'm going to go maybe in with some of my fairy tale, which I think is, that might be, to make sure I get the right one. They're pretty much of a muchness, aren't they? I'm going to go with this one first. So I'm really going to ink this one, like wet this one. You can see there, they do tend to spill over a bit, but you know, that happens. So I'm just plopping it down, and to use an Ali Brown kind of statement, she uses the word plopping on the colour. Now you will find with watercolours that they do activate together, reactivate when adding water over the top, so you will find it make all sorts of weird kind of colours. So that's when you have to be careful of the mixing. So this is not going to be such a problem, these colours blending together, because they are both coolish colours on the colour wheel. If you come in and start trying to put yellow maybe in there, you are going to end up with some weird mud, especially down in this area. So you really want to try and avoid that where possible. Now I'm going to come in with this light colour, and here is where I'm going to create some different shadings of these colours, because as they mix together on your page, they just add different levels of effect and textures, and I love it. And then you might want to tip it. You can see there, that creates a lot more. I want to mop up anything that goes into that centre bit there. Too much. Yeah. So tipping, and you can use your brush to create that, get it further activated and going. Yeah. Add some more in here. Now I'm going to go, add a bit of red, that reddy pink in there. That's quite good too. Yeah. Get in there with that, darken it up a bit. Add it in there. I always add lots of water. That's what feels right to me. It's the thing that I like. So with this, I'm kind of going intuitively. I'm working with things that feel right, that fit with what I like. It's kind of the way I'm not trained. I do a lot of online things, online courses, for sure. But I do not. I've never studied art at university. I'm not officially trained in art, but I think that well, there's an argument for and against that. That was not a path I took. I did teacher training and became a teacher and worked as a teacher until I had my two children, and worked as a teacher after I had the kids as well, because obviously, you know, most people, families need two incomes, and then my children got really, my daughter Grace has severe allergies, and she got very, very unwell at school, and so we pulled her out of school and began to homeschool and do a distance ed program through the government, the Queensland School of Distance Education, and that has meant that I'm at home educating the kids, not out earning money, which is, you know, can be a downfall, but at the same time it's such, you know, I really am lucky to have been able to spend that time with the kids. I really shouldn't complain. Some people, you know, they have no choice and they have to go out to work, and that must be really, really hard. I really feel for all women of all walks in life, and fathers, you know. Yeah, it's not hard. It's not easy being a parent. So I'm going to dry this off again. Once again, I'm dabbing. I'll probably fast forward this in the editing phase. That's the next phase to get to. The kids are going to help with that. Because, as most of us know, technology is a challenge. Oops. Now you can see you've got to be careful. You can see that come through there. But it does create a bit more effect. But yeah, you do need to be careful of leaking through. That's a lot of water I've put in there, so I'm going to dry that off really, really well. You can see the paper starting to crinkle up. That's when you know it's really drying out. Have to remember to pull it down into my little blocked off area for filming. It's a bit different, but not that bad. I'm going to darken up this area a bit just because I can and I want to. So I'm going to come in here, a bit purple, a little less water maybe. So you can see it's getting that galaxy type effect. I really like it. It's quite beautiful. I love texture, and huge texture. All this, I'll show you. If you look on my Instagram account, you'll find that I have a huge, collection of artwork that I've made using a lot of texture, collage, all that kind of thing. All right, I'm going to dry off again. You can see there, quite easy, quite straightforward. Yeah, really fun. You can get lots of great colours. Like this was with acrylic, watered down acrylic paint, and I still got that textured effect. You can see here, that's just straight watercolour. Cute little fox. I love the fox. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this was another technique which I'll do another video on. I've got lots of videos lined up. I'm a little bit excited. So now, if we go back to my page here, now I want to create these circles. And I'm going to just randomly pick. It really doesn't matter. And I'm just going to get my white uni signo, and I'm going to go around the outside first. So, and then I'm going to do one up here, and I'm going to do the inside, just so it's a different size. My poor old pen is been worked to death. So if you're having trouble with that, you just kind of swoosh it around like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's the beauty of journal pages and journaling. You just have to have a go. It doesn't need to be perfect. Please let go of that. You know, you can see I've got one here and here, so I'll do that there. I'll do one over here, and I'll do the outside. I'm just doing little strokes with my pen because it is playing up a little bit, but that's probably, it's running out a bit, and it's also well loved. You can see there, I did another one over here, so I'm going to do one up there, just random. You just got to commit, just do it. It's just a page in a journal. It's not going to be published in a book. It's for you to enjoy, you know. It's the process of making that brings you the joy, okay? Well, that's what I found. That's how I feel. Now I'm going on the inside, like so. The process is so joyous. The process of putting colour on a page is, oh, mate, I just can't explain it enough. Now you can see there, it's been a bit rough, a bit messy. So just before it dries, you can just wipe it off. If you get a baby wipe, any baby wipe, I use Curash, but I have allergies. As you can see, I get really, really red skin quite easily. So I'm quite careful with the things that I use. But they're expensive. But you can use home brands, cheap. Go to the cheap shop, get some stuff. It's really not that. You can start making a journal for a very limited amount of money. You don't need to outlay a lot of money. You see a lot of people with fancy, expensive stuff, watercolours. You know, like I thought, oh, I really need to get some good watercolours. And I looked at them, and they're so expensive. Like a tube is Daniel Smith watercolours. It's like $30 Australian dollars a tube. That's really expensive. I found these Jane Davenport watercolours. They're like 40 something a tin, and they are really good. They're highly pigmented. They're a little bit chalky, but not much. They are fluid. They work really well on fancy watercolour paper. And I'm not going, you know, I'm not going to be putting these in a gallery. This is my journal. I just want something. I just want to have fun. So I've done my circles. We could go back and have a look at the piece. The next step is, you can see here, I've kind of highlighted this. Can you see this? You're framing the picture. You're creating a space for things to pop out. If you look at Tracy Verdugo's work, she's an amazing art teacher, and she paints beautiful, beautiful abstract art. And she uses this technique of creating a beautifully fluid background and then creating the images over the top and making the images from these beautiful things by outlining them, by painting them in, using shading, using dimension, all that kind of thing. I'm sure there's a lot of fancy technical terms out there. And we're back. Sorry about that. I must have been going for 15 minutes. My little Panasonic Lumix that's, poof, 7 years old, is only films for 15 minutes at a time. So I guess I'm going to learn how to edit that stuff. But the kids assure me they know what they're doing. So, you know, hello. I might just bring, I think I might just bring this one around too here. Just to, as you're going, you can just kind of give it a look and see what's working for you and what isn't. Just trust your gut, you know. And if you don't like it, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. That's why we watch YouTube and we follow people that we admire and their work, and it works for you, you know. You get in there and you copy, and learn from mimicking the people that you love, you know, and eventually they say you develop your own style. So you know, all the masters in the past, the apprentices, they would mimic the masters. It's just the way people learn. Everybody does it. You know, shouldn't be copying other people's work and posting it on Facebook and saying, hey, I painted this, look, and this was my idea. You know, if you're going to learn from people such as Jane Davenport, one of my big, I love her teaching. Tracy Vidergo, Chrissy Tomlinson. She doesn't teach much anymore because she started the Planner Society, but gee, I love her She Art Girls. That's where I first decided I wanted to paint girls, and yeah, I love them. She's great. Oh, she's so good. Her girls, her artwork, oh, you know, just amazing. Yeah, I've got lots of people. Kelly Ray Roberts, she's another one that paints beautiful girls. She's great with collage and using old vintage wallpaper and stuff like that. There's lots of people. I also love a girl, a woman, I don't know, a lady, Roxanne Coble, Bybun. Now Roxanne paints Halloween, weird, bones, scary, spooky, anything a bit creepy, which is the complete opposite to me. So you can see here, like, this is the sort of stuff I love. Girls, pretty faces, little girls, pink, girls, oh, bugs, you know, girls, like lots of, I'm really pretty pinks and pebbles and blah blah blah. And Roxy, she likes dead animals and creepy stuff. And so you can see there I put too much water on my brush. I'm going to have to wipe it off because it's just going to disappear. So I need some more paint. But you can see a little goes a long way. Unless you're doing really heavy, thick layers and stuff in your backgrounds and things like that, then you're going to find that you wind up with using a lot of paint. So, but I've learnt to be a little bit sparing with my paint because I'm a bit of a tight ass. And we're on one income. My husband's a nurse. Like, he's got a great job. He's got a degree and stuff, but nurses don't earn heaps of money. And if I was working as well, it would be great. You know, woohoo, buy all the art supplies in the world. But yeah, most of us aren't living that reality. If you are, that's awesome. Good for you. You spend away. I don't ever deny anyone buying something that brings them joy. But a lot of us have to be, you know, really conservative with our spending, especially when we're looking at art supplies and, you know, things like that. And so I am quite stingy, you know. I'm using my family camera, which was a gift 7 years ago, and it's an expensive camera, but I'm not sure about the sound, and you know, I need a new battery for it. That will probably help, but it really does only film for 15 minutes at a time, so I'm not really, you know, I haven't gone out and bought the latest fancy equipment. That's what I'm trying to say. You don't need the latest and greatest for art to bring you joy, or for anything to bring you joy for that matter. Just, you know, I've learnt having kids with special needs, you need to have something that brings you joy, because both of you, both parents, or if you're a thing, you've got to find something that brings you joy, dude, because if you don't, it's just going to bring you down, and that's not fun. You don't want to get to that place where you just can't, you just feel sad and you have no joy in your life, you know. Yeah, your kids bring you joy and your family brings you joy, but you need to be fulfilled in other ways as well, not just by you know, love and yeah, that's great, but you need other things that will bring you joy and happiness to your life. So there you go, I did that. Probably shouldn't have, but I'll just give it a wipe. The amazing thing about acrylic paint is if you get it on something, if you use the right type of wipe, especially an alcohol wipe, you will find that you can wipe it off, which is really awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go with that. I'm going to give this a dry off because once again, I do like my page to be dry. Just habits really from my mixed media days. So that's pretty much nearly dry, so it's not going to need a big, long dry off. I just knocked the tin over. Sorry. I'll edit that out. That scared the bajumpers out of me. That really scared me. That was just a cute Kmart tin that I keep my thing in and whoosh, knocked it right off. Oh, that scared me. Okay. So we can see here, if we look back at my original, I had a lot more drippy, bright colours. So I probably would, you know, you can go that way and intensify it up a bit if you wanted to. But that's pretty good. I'm going to just outline these a bit better, just highlight them a bit better with my white pen. Going to thicken it up a bit. I'm not too fussy, like I try not to be. I learned from Jane, you've got to be fluid. If you freak out and try and make everything straight and perfect, it's never going to be perfect. You're going to struggle and you will just drive yourself nuts, and that's not what art is about. Art is not about driving yourself nuts. Art is about bringing yourself joy. Me, I've always loved colours and just really loved colour and bright and happiness and yeah. And so this combines, so it's almost meditative the process. I mean, it's not right now for me because I'm commentating as I'm painting, which is, I know it's an unusual situation. Normally I would just be painting and drawing and plopping and doodling and rubbing and just going where it takes me. I really do believe in the intuitive process, you know. Look at it, go, ooh, I don't like that, no, I might do this, you know, but don't get tied down. That's the beauty of art journaling, is that you can just be really free. You're not tied to this piece of canvas that you're freaking out about that costs you, even if it costs you $5, it's still $5 on a canvas, and then what are you going to do with it? You're going to have this canvas that, you know, so you get all this freaked out stuff in your head. Now, my secret weapon. Oh no, where's my secret weapon? I need my secret weapon. It'll be here somewhere. Hang on. Let's not panic. Where is it? Ah, here it is. Oh. Just when you want it. So this is my secret weapon. I am nuts about this gold spray. I love gold. really love gold. You've got to give it a really good shake. It's just a craft spray. It's a Heidi Swap Colour Shine Gold. And I go nuts with this stuff. It's crazy. I love it. So I give it a bit of a spray first because, you know, you don't know how it's going to come out. And then I go from quite a high up and I give it some spritzes. And everything gets covered in gold. And you got to wipe your table. This is my tablecloth. We just got a new table that was David's granny's, and she sadly has had to move into a nursing home. And so we received her beautiful dining room table all the way from England, and so that's now got pride of place in my dining area. Australia has open plan living, so we don't have separate dining room, lounge room kind of setup. And so this is the table that we've had for years, the dining table that the kids drew all over. Ugh. And I love my spotty tablecloth as well. So I'm going to, actually I don't need to dry that off because that can kind of sit and dry itself. You find if you do put too much, you hold it up as high as you can and spritz it. The other thing people do is they take that bit out and they flick it. I don't really bother with that. Couldn't be bothered. I'm a bit messy. That's what I've liked about this journaling business. Like, yeah, I can have a neat, pretty page if I want to, but, oh, look at her. She's pretty. See, this is what I mean about loose lines, but that does come with practice, being able to draw a face like that. Another girl. Oh, so pretty. I just love my new journaling. I've only been journaling like this on the Tamale River paper for about a month, and I've done it every single day. I've never before painted every single day, and this has just taken, it feels right. So yeah, been wanting to share my process for a long time. Always been a bit too scared, but here we go. I've done my first one. I hope that you have enjoyed that. Go and give it a go. You can use this on mixed media paper, on watercolor paper. You can use acrylics. You can use ink. You can do whatever you've got. Cheapo watercolors. Like, it doesn't matter. Use what you've got. Have a go. Put some paint on paper and give it a crack. I can honestly tell you that you are going to love this process. It will bring you joy. All right. Thank you for tuning in to my very first YouTube video. I really hope now when I go and check the camera that it actually recorded, because if it didn't, I'm just, yeah, I might have feel sorry for myself for a bit and then redo it. So thanks for everyone. Bye-bye.